Hey guys, this is a video on how we're going to use this to repair and make these work again. So let's adjust the camera angle and I'll take you through it, explain the advantages, the disadvantages and what you can expect. So just to save time on camera, I've taken the carb apart really nice and clean, and this is the metering diaphragm. It meters how much fuel the engine can get, and as you can hear, it's really crispy. This will never pump, ever. It won't work. It will your machine that it's on probably won't run at all. If it does, it's going to run really poorly. It's going to starve for fuel. Now, typically what you would do is you would just throw this one away. You would get, where's my other one? Here. You'd get a brand new one for a few bucks and you would just stick it in. And this is how the new one looks and feels. It's really soft, really pliable compared to here. And you wouldn't think anything more of it. However, there are instances where maybe you haven't got the same diaphragm on hand. This one looks fairly similar. Looking at it, it looks fairly similar. So I probably could interchange these two. But if you have an old carburetor and the parts are no longer available, or the carb diaphragm's no longer available, or maybe you just want to test proof of concept. So you think that the diaphragm is the issue, but you're not sure, then this is another reason why you'd use it. But it's not something that you would just do to avoid buying a new diaphragm. Ideally, always replace the diaphragms if they are like this. However, you can turn this diaphragm, this crispy, crunchy diaphragm, into a beautiful, as new, soft and supple diaphragm with hydraulic brake fluid. Doesn't matter if you're .3 or .4. And all you do, I've got one here because I've done it for quite a few. You would take a little cup, cover it with some cling film, take your diaphragm, the crispy one obviously, you plonk it in, you leave it in there. Now, depending on how crispy or crunchy it is, it may take a couple of days. If it's not too bad, it may take a week. Now, I've found that this, when it's this bad, this is really bad, generally 7 days. And once you've done that and you pull it out, it'll be beautifully soft, beautifully supple like this. And what I'm going to do, we'll write the date on here today, and then I'll come back in 7 days. And I would say come back daily, but I'll probably forget a day. So I'll come back in about 7 days, but you can check it every day yourself. But just so you've got that stark contrast as to before and after, I'm going to leave it in that brake fluid. I'm just going to get a pen now. We are the 7th of the 6th. Where's my Sharpie? Let's cover this back up. Seventh of the 6th, 22. I'm not going to touch it until 7th, well, the 14th. So I'll put the 14th on there as well. It's 14th of the 6th, 22. And as I said, when you do it, just check it every 24 hours. But I know that this is really crispy and crunchy. It's going to take ages. And what I'll do, I'll bring you back in, like, for you it'll be a second. For me it'll be 7 days. And you will see the difference. And then I can just edit a bit of a before and after. Hey guys, so it's funny actually doing an introduction knowing that there's no need for an introduction because it's only been a second for you, but it's been a week for me. Anyway, so here it is. Well, in fact, what I'll do, let's get you a top-down view. It's been a week, and I actually tested it. I actually took it out after 3 or 4 days, and it was mostly there. Not quite, I don't think. So I didn't want to get it on camera. I really wanted a before and after, and I think 7 days is ideal. So let's get you top-down view, and I'll show you, and we'll take it right out together. Okay. 7 days have passed. And you remember how crispy and crunchy this was beforehand, right? Try and get all of the excess off, because actually sometimes when you've got some liquid on there, oil, whatever, in this case brake fluid, it is actually softer than you think it is. So I don't want any kind of anything that's going to make it look softer than it actually is. I want a genuine example. Here it is. Look at that. Isn't that crazy? That is as soft as a brand new diaphragm. Here's a brand new one. And here's the one I've just had soaking. And I think actually I pushed it up and it stayed there. Now you push it up, flicks back down. New, old. Isn't that awesome? So it really is that easy. .3 or .4 brake fluid. If the diaphragm's not too bad, 24 hours. If it's bad, crispy, really crunchy, you might have to leave it 5 to 7 days, somewhere in there, but just take it out occasionally and see. And then I guess the most important question is, how long does it last? Well, I said right at the beginning, this is not something you would use to avoid buying another diaphragm in the future. It's a temporary solution, and my experience, generally 7 days. I've done it a few times, and it's within about 7 days that I start to notice the tune of the engine starts to go, and you might have to tweak it slightly. But 7 days, although it doesn't sound like a long time, it is actually a long time when you think about what you can achieve. So for example, 7 days is more than enough time for someone to get their entire year's firewood supply. Or if they wanted to use their hedge cutter and cut all the trees and stuff back on their week off work, for example. So it does have its place, but I think the best use of this tip is either you just want to test proof of concept. So the engine's not running right, you think it could be the diaphragm, then perfect. Just quickly, if it's in that condition, you're only going to need to leave it 12, 24 hours or so. And that's an excellent use of that technique. Or you can no longer buy that diaphragm from the shop. It's an old part, it's new old stock. It's no longer available, and you just want to run that piece of equipment, or you want to do this so that while you're waiting for a diaphragm that's got to come from the other side of the world, if they're a difficult part to find, then you can enjoy that piece of equipment for 7+ days. And yeah, it doesn't cost you anything. Most people are going to have brake fluid in their sheds, their workshops anyway. So yeah, really great proof of concept. If you're waiting for a diaphragm or something to arrive, or the parts are no longer available and you just want to use that piece of equipment, then that's where this tip comes in. So hope you enjoyed it. I hope it helps. Hope it gave you some ideas as to where this could come in useful. What I actually do, I've got a packet of these that are just, as soon as they come out of a machine and they're crispy and hard, doesn't matter what they are, whether they're new, whether they're old, in terms of the design of the carb they've come off, I'll just chuck them in brake fluid if they're crispy, crunchy and old. And I've got about 5 or 6 in a packet up there. And it just, if I take a piece of equipment off and I need to use this technique for whatever reason, then I've already got them on hand. So there we go. It's not something you'd use to replace a diaphragm or to avoid buying one, but it can get you out of a number of sticky situations. So I hope it helps.